All right, what is going on, guys? It is time for another episode of the Chasing Waypoints podcast. And, well, we are back. It is countdown to the Baja 1000 coming up. Green flag drops November 16th. And we are looking forward to that one. 1,300 miles of fun. And it is going to be in a northern direction. So mixing it up, you guys heard the previous episodes, talked a little bit about it and what is coming. So I'm excited. What are we going to get to see? I think we're going to get some pretty good racing. I am looking forward to it. It is going to be an interesting one, though. If these guys are leaving, let me see the sequence of events here. These guys are going to be leaving Thursday morning, bright and early, on the 16th. It says with the first bike, Score Media Center opening at 12 a.m. 1 a.m. That is 1 a.m. for the bikes. And if you guys heard the previous episode, Mark Samuels, these guys are predicting an 18-hour finish. That means they will be done on Friday. Late Friday? Thursday, 1 a.m. Friday, 1 a.m. plus 6 hours. Yeah. Friday morning in Ensenada, just in time for breakfast. But speaking of which and what we have got going on, today we're going to be talking to none other than Giovanni Spinali. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too bad. Talking a little bit about the number they adorn and their mission for the Baja 1000 in 2023. I asked him questions about that. So what has been going on? A lot of stuff happening. Have you guys already signed up for the newsletter? Do I need to remind you? Have you gone over to the Chasing Waypoints website, signed up for that one? A lot of cool stuff coming on that. Working to make it even better for you guys. First edition is not out yet. Predicting first edition coming out in January. So if you haven't signed up, you definitely want to. Trying to do something big for that first one. Work with some of our vendors in the rally industry and abroad in the moto industry, man. We got a lot going on. Just because it's rally doesn't mean it is rally only. So looking forward to doing that. Turn down the party here a little bit. Couple minutes, we'll give Giovanni a call here. So definitely want to talk to him. He's been in the community, very active in the Pro Moto Baja Facebook group. So we got a lot to share, I'm sure. Let's see, what do we got going on here? I see, totally stalking his Facebook page. He doesn't know we're doing this yet. I like it to it with all of our guests. No real, no show prep, really. And this is actually my first time talking to him, so we're all going to find out a little bit more about his racing past and all of the stuff that he's been up to and doing. He's got a hell of a team for the Baja 1000, so we'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll talk about the number 500X. For those of you that are not familiar with the numbering in the Score International series, it's very, very simple. Your 100s, 200, 3, 4, 500, the 500 number, and in this case, X or X-ray, means you're on a moto, but that is reserved for the class champion of that particular racing class. So 1600, 1600 for the 1600 class. They do have grandfathered numbers, but I believe everybody generally likes to take the, a little bit of the bragging rights when they see that, oh, look, it's that number. That means this guy was the fastest last year. So looking forward to that one as we've got some stuff going on. Coming in hot, and I was just down at Baja Adventure Garage. They are going to have their first annual rally coming up this December, right at the beginning of December. Let me pull up the details really quick for you guys. So we got an idea of what it is about. It is basically a 2-day rally event, not in the roadbook sense. This is actually going to be a motorcycle rally, a little bit similar to the KTM Adventure Rally, and a little bit similar to the Geico Adventure Rally that's currently happening right now in San Diego, out in Julian. So this is going to be very similar to that. Definitely looking forward to it. We are going to be there is December 7th through 10th. It is the first weekend of December, roughly, I believe. I should have checked before I said that. But yeah, December 7, 8, 9, and 10. It is 2 days of riding. There's going to be a road course, and then there's going to be a dual sport course. So looking forward to that. More details to come if you haven't already checked it out. It's Baja Adventure Garage. If you follow them on Instagram, that will definitely be cool. There is a group that is forming on WhatsApp for those that are interested. Reach out to me directly if you want to be part of that, or if you want to talk a little bit more about it, find out some of the more details. Next Thursday at the Baja Adventure Garage at 7 p.m. is going to be the first meeting, get the questions out of the way, get all of that stuff. I myself will be in attendance, and we'll be there speaking with Marco, who is heading this up. So definitely looking forward to that one coming up again, December 7th through 10th. Starting out of Baja Adventure Garage, that is kilometer 0, Highway 1 at the top of the Baja Peninsula, right on the border in Playas de Tijuana. So definitely look forward to checking that out. But with that being said, let's get Giovanni on the phone.
Hello?
There he is, Giovanni.
Yes.
Hey, what's up, man? It's Victor. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Doing all right, man. Getting excited. There's this little race coming up. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah, it's getting close. I think everybody's getting all hyped up on it.
I know, right? A long one though, 1,300. Is that a little more than normal?
Yeah. Usually when it goes to the tip, it's anywhere between 1,100 and 1,200. I think this one's like 1,311. So yeah, it's a long one.
Yeah. Which is, you think, oh, it's only 100 more miles.
Yeah. Well, 100 more on top of 1,200 is a lot, right?
Yeah, exactly. So are you guys ready? I mean, have you been going down pre-running and doing all of that?
Yeah. I mean, we're not totally ready. We still have a little bit of time to the race, but was in San Felipe last weekend pre-running with my teammate Robbie Naughton, and that went really well. So knocked that out of the way. We were testing our race bike yesterday and last night. Tested lights down in Ocotillo.
Placer City.
East, yeah, Placer City. So we were there last night late testing, getting all that dialed in. So yeah, little by little, we'll be ready.
Nice. Very nice. What's the light of choice? What are you guys running?
Baja Designs. Yeah, we got the new dual light setup. It's I think it's like a pound lighter than our setup we had last year, and it's brighter. So really nice setup.
Nice. What is that? The modified Machine Works, or is which lighting setup is that one you guys made?
Are you talking about the mounting process or the lights themselves?
The mounting process.
No, we use the same mount as we had before. I think it's just Baja Designs mount. Oh, okay. Just slides in with some clips. Yeah. Nice. And we also have the regular Baja Designs single light that will run during the day, and then we'll have the dual light setup. Well, most of the races at night. I think 17, 18 hours of this race is going to be at night. So
yeah,
we need good lights. That's for sure.
Yeah. I saw that you guys got a 1 a.m. What is it? A midnight call time for, on Thursday for staging, and then a 1 a.m. for the first bike.
Yeah. I don't know why they do that to the bikes, but it makes for a long 30 plus hours of racing. That's for sure when it starts at 1 a.m.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I can imagine that whole first part, which I think will be nice. Have you guys done any of the rest of the team? Has anybody done the start and down that southern section already, or are you guys saving that still?
No, not yet. We're going to be, everybody on the team is probably going to head down early next week and get down and pre-run their section 2 or 3 times and be ready to go. But now they haven't gone that far south yet.
Got it. Yeah, I think that one's going to be interesting because I feel like the terrain down there is usually pretty flat out, not as beat up as it is up here in the northern section.
Yeah, definitely. I think anything south of San Ignacio is kind of a different Baja. It's not as many people. A lot of the sections aren't like near a lot of towns, so it's not like people are in and out all the time. So yeah, it's definitely, I think, better terrain. But then again, with the storm, that just happened. I hear there's a lot of washouts and it exposed a lot of rocks and different things. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. That is a good point. And the washouts generally aren't smoothed over. So I'm sure it's hell on the bars and as far as the surprises go.
Yeah. That's why pre-running is going to be super important to make sure you know where the danger spots are and just be aware of what your section entails. So pre-running is going to be super important after that storm.
Yeah. And coming up, I mean, the 16th, not a whole lot of time, but I guess it's kind of nice that I don't see that there was any kind of weather coming in.
No, I think the weather's going to be good from here on out, and it's kind of crazy. It's on the 16th, but in reality, it's really Wednesday night, right? Because it starts midnight. Oh, yeah. Wednesday night is when you got to go stage. So it's right around the corner.
Yeah, very nice. And so you guys are on. Are you doing? I think you've raced Yamaha. No, that's been your bike.
Well, it has been for the last probably 4 or 5 years. We started on Hondas. Mm-hmm. Actually, Honda helped us out, sponsored us when we first started in 2012, because our team, Hero Racing, was established then, and we had the only team that's ever started or finished the Baja 1000. All the riders were. They had prosthetics, either on their leg or their arm or whatever it was. We were sponsored by a company called Ability Dynamics. And so we had the honor of giving away prosthetics to injured warriors and just anybody who we thought, really needed it. Mm-hmm. And so in 2012, we had a team of, I think, 3 or 4 guys who did the peninsula run all the way down, and they all, like, one of them had, below the knee prosthetic. We had a special shifter on the bike. So Honda backed us up that year and gave us 3 bikes, and we had 3 teams running, and we've been doing it ever since.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. And so that's, so Honda backed, and what, I'm always curious about this is right, everybody's the Austrian brands, right? I guess I don't want to say dominate Baja. I feel like that's only more recently because they had the history of Honda that they had to deal with the XR650R, and which I still think some of them line up. But have you noticed any of the differences, like between the Yamaha suspension and the Honda, the frame, the chassis, just the bike in general?
I would say 2 of the biggest advantages of the Yamaha, mm-hmm. I'd say 3 actually. Yamaha to me is actually like the new Hondas in a way, because the old Hondas were so dependable, they never broke. And that's kind of how the Yamahas are. They're super dependable. They come with great suspension stock. And then we have Suspension 101 who dials in our suspension, and it's just unreal once we get in that race speeds. But the other thing is their airbox on the Yamahas is super high. Mm-hmm. They have that reverse engine. So the airbox is like right behind the handlebars up high, okay, instead of below the seat like every other bike. Mm-hmm. And when you get into those silty situations where you're knee deep in silt and it's just, your bike's just, you're on the throttle and it's just sucking for air, but it's sucking in all that dirt. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of the other brands, including Husky and KTM, have had engine failures because they're sucking so much dirt, and then pretty soon the motor locks up. So I think the Yamaha has a huge advantage in Baja because of where their air cleaner is located. So that's, I think that's definitely an advantage for us. We've never had any Yamahas fail at all in Baja. So.
And and it's interesting because I feel like it's I want to say it's like the underdog, because not a lot of people, there are some that line up, and I'm sure that number's grown, but it's never, I don't think, outnumbered the Hondas or the KTM Husqvarna gas conglomerate.
I don't think so. Well, back in the day, Honda and Kawasaki were, I think, the 2, and Husky, mm-hmm. were the 2 or 3 manufacturers that really got behind Baja on a factory level. Mm-hmm. And then KTM with Caselli joined in. And so that's when the Austrian brands kind of came into play. But now I think it's more privateer, backed. I don't think there's any factory backing except for the Honda team at the 1,000. They'll back the Samuels team, but just for this one race coming up. They don't do the whole series. Yeah. And I think Andy Kirker is doing a really good job trying to get the factories involved again. Mm-hmm. And he's raised some money, which is really cool. He put a purse together, I think $20,000 for the unlimited pro class. So little by little, I think hopefully the factories will come back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would be really good to see. Cause I mean, I grew up in Baja, but it was on the 5/1600 side. First of all, it's professional spectators, which I think most people start that way nowadays anyway.
Uh-huh.
And, it was always the bike guys, there was it's almost like the class 11 guys as well. It was just one of those things, like you saw them walking around and you wondered how they even sat on the bike with the balls. I mean, to be able to go out and just tackle this. Obviously it's turned into the trophy truck show now, at least that's how I feel. But it's awesome to see that. Yeah. Trying to get factories back, get the racing down there. I mean, we know that the Dakar Rally and that sells bikes, but that sells bikes that are not obtainable, so I think that I agree. It would be nice to see some more factory stuff back.
Yeah, I think as far as a bike's concerned, I mean, I grew up racing motocross and different things since I was a kid, but you can't get any more bang for your buck than just going down to the dealer, buying a dirt bike. They're, for whatever, $7-8 grand, $9 grand.
Mm-hmm. And
you could literally take a stock dirt, brand new dirt bike, put some mooses in it and, so you don't get any flats, throw some lights on it and literally race the Baja 1000.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other, I guess you could do it with a side-by-side, but you're not spending $7-8 grand on a side-by-side. You're spending $30,000-$40,000 on a side-by-side. So, and that would be stock. So
yeah,
bang for your buck, you can't get any better than on a bike. But then on the flip side, they're the most dangerous, I think, for sure, because you don't have a cage around you and, you crash. So
yeah, I think it's definitely one of those, more, like you said, more dangerous. Even a UTV. I mean, you still right off the bat, you got to throw nets at it, a stronger cage. And if anybody listening to this says, no, you don't, they've never been in a UTV and seen what happens when they crash at speed, even with their current stock roll cages. You're going to need taller tires. You're going to need skid plates. You're going to need, and I feel like on a bike, like you said, mooses, a desert tank.
A desert tank and some lights and you're good to go. I mean, it's always good to do your suspension because that saves you so much energy and everything during the race. But in reality, you could race a stock bike, especially in the smaller races like a 250 or a 500. You don't even need lights. You just race it.
Yeah. And be done with it. So something that's interesting though, like you mentioned it, there's two things. Is one, the Yamaha having the tank or the air filter up higher, and needing to run a bigger tank. What have you guys found for a solution on that? Because when I had looked at the Yamahas a long time ago, but it seemed like the tanks that were out there really didn't add anything to it.
They don't add a lot of capacity. But they do locate the fuel in a better, lower position so the bikes handle better. But yeah, I think we're running an IMS tank. I think it's like 3.2 gallons.
Okay.
And in reality, you don't need that big of a tank when you're racing in Baja because Baja Pits, who we use, offers a great service. They pretty much set up pits every 40 to 50 miles all the way down throughout the whole course. So really you don't need that big of a tank. I would say you could probably get away with running a stock tank. I mean, we don't obviously because we don't want to take that chance, but I think that you could. IMS is who we use for our fuel tanks. We've used them on our Hondas, used them on our Yamahas. They have great tanks.
Nice. Yeah, I think I just came across the picture of you guys' of the bike. I think it was when you guys are down in that looks like Plaster City East.
Yeah, just recent. It's probably before we have our numbers and graphics and everything on the bike. We were just down there testing suspension and lights. So yeah, that was just last week.
Nice. Yeah, that does. And I like how when they designed the tank and it actually like fits the body style. It doesn't it doesn't grow the bike too bad.
Yeah. Some of the tanks are pretty big and obnoxious, really, but that's only when you are really adding a lot of fuel. Some of those tanks that guys use, can go up to like 5 gallons, and then they're just like it's just like almost like an adventure bike tank. They're too big, but that's probably a perfect size, 3.2 gallons. You can go pre-running with that tank. You could probably go 80 miles, 75, 80 miles, which is a long way considering, you're on a dirt bike.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely, and then that's I guess that's the thing is at speed. That was a lesson I learned a long time ago. There's a difference between, trail riding with 3.2 gallons and racing with 3.2 gallons.
Yeah, you probably could get 30 to 35 miles per gallon if you're just cruising, but at race speed, you're probably closer to 24, 25 miles per gallon if you're on the gas.
Yeah. It's crazy how much that difference that makes. And which makes me wonder if now with the newer bikes that they're trying to implement like versions of traction control and things like that on it, whether or not that would actually be beneficial. Like, is it worth
the fuel injection helps so much. I mean, the carbureted bikes use way more fuel. 2 strokes use way more fuel. So going to the 4 strokes and going to the fuel injection definitely made the bikes a lot more efficient.
Yeah. And what was interesting that you said too, this was a question I had a long time ago with another guy that I know that does suspension, was if you had the money, right? Money was no object. Which is the bike that you would go to the dealership and be like, that one? Because with springs and some valving and you're done, right? You don't need to, like the older KTMs, like I have a 16 FE 501. Everybody I talked to instantly said, and do you still have the 4CS forks on that? Because if you do, you need to get rid of them.
Yeah.
Now,
is that the air fork?
No, not their air fork. It was this previous design that was a 4-chamber type deal. Yeah. It just, the problem with it, I guess, is that no matter how much you tried, it would build pack almost instantly. Like no matter how soft you made it, it just instantly would try and get hard, the curve on it. But yeah, I've heard, that the air suspension was a little better for that. And then now I think they've gone back to like their closed chamber stuff. But that was the whole thing, is like you need to change all of these things to the suspension and do all of these things
they tried to save weight is what they did. Everybody's trying to save weight, especially KTM and Husky. And they went to, and shoot, all of them almost except Yamaha stayed with the spring. And all the other manufacturers, I believe, went at one point or another, went to the air fork. And they just weren't nearly as good. They were lighter, but they weren't as good. And Yamaha just kept refining and refining their spring fork. And it's really good. Even, like I have a Husky 300 that I ride in single track stuff. And first thing I did was bring it to Suspension 101 and had them convert it to a spring, because it's just way better. I mean, it's plush in the small stuff and it absorbs the big stuff. It's just a way better system. They tried to improve it, but unfortunately it didn't go too well. So the spring is the way to go for sure.
Yeah. Which is and that's an interesting point, the weight thing, how everybody tries. This was actually a recent conversation we had down at Baja Rally where they were talking about, the differences between the Austrian bikes being lighter and trying to be faster, but it seemed like everything they would try and deflect off of. But he says, then you get on like a Honda. That was the conversation there. You get on a Honda and it just eats everything up and it's heavier. So it's kind of like that. I guess it's that balance, right? Where, the lesser of two evils, weight and the bike's heavier, but I guess if you know how to ride the bike.
Well, it seems like, to your point, the Yamaha is a little heavier, but it has a very planted feel. It's planted. You hit bumps and it stays on the ground. Whereas I think like the KTM, even on a motocross track, it feels a little bit more like a mountain bike with a motor in it. So you kind of like feel every little thing because it's so much lighter. I personally like the Yamahas, and that's why we ride them in motocross and in Baja, and they just have a great planted feel to them, which builds confidence. If you feel good on the bike, you're going to want to be able to go faster, more comfortably. And if it's a little bit more sketchy because the suspension's air suspension with a lighter bike and it's just a little bit more twitchy, you're not going to be as comfortable and you're not going to go as fast.
Yeah. Yeah. That's an interesting, I hadn't thought about it until you're talking about it now. I had gone riding with Gnarly Dave. I don't know if you're familiar, Dave Manriquez, with the Honda guys. And he told me, he's all, you ride your 790 better than you do your 501. And I really didn't think it until now. I was like, the 790 is like straight up, 150 pounds heavier than the 501. So that, that is an interesting point. You don't really think about it because you don't notice it. You're more worried about like, damn, I got to lug this heavy ass bike around here.
Well, most bikes, to be honest, even if let's just say the Yamaha's 10 pounds heavier than the KTM, when you're riding it, you don't really feel it because they put the weight down low enough where it's kind of feels neutral. So even though it is, say, 10 pounds heavier, you're not really, once you're on the bike and riding it, you're not feeling it. Maybe when you lift it up onto the stand or loading it up, whatever, you might feel the weight, but when you're actually riding it, you don't feel it. I don't think. It's
only 400 pounds at 0 miles an hour.
Yeah, I don't think they're that much. I think they're more like 220, 230, something like that. Yeah, but I had a Yamaha Tenere that I decided to race in the Nora 1000, and I just figured, Nora's a lot smoother than the Score races, and see how I could do. And so I took that bike all the way down, and I took off as much weight as I possibly could because they're like 440 pounds stock. And I took off the ABS. I changed the exhaust. I changed, had the suspension done. I took anything that I could take off. I took one of the rotors off the front wheel because it's dual rotors in the front. I just stripped it down as much as I possibly could, and I got it down to 400 pounds. But let me tell you, that is still it's a monster in the dirt.
Yeah.
It's just, you don't want to hit anything rough. I found out that way the hard way. I came into a really rough, fast whoop section coming out of San Ignacio, and the suspension just couldn't handle it, and it just swapped out and flung me.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was the end of my race. It was so weight obviously does matter, but as far as the motocross bikes, they're all pretty good nowadays.
Yeah, you could almost, you can't ride them blindfolded, but it seems like if you could, that was what you would figure out, that they're all pretty similar. I guess though the front suspension translates directly to the handlebars though.
Yeah. So definitely like I said, the Yamaha, I think out of the box comes with the best suspension.
That's the closest. So that's a good one. Let's go back. You guys are running the 500X number?
Yep.
For this one?
Yeah, 500X.
What's the class and why that number?
Okay, so in Score, any of the if you win the championship, you run this is the 50 Pro class. So we're the 500X. For example, the 40 Pro class champions would run 400X. The 30 Pro champions would run 300X. So yeah, we won the championship last year. And so we're running 500X this year. I had an injury at the 1,000 last year, so we actually didn't run any of the races this season. Just the 1,000 is the one that we're going to race.
Go out and do. Nice. Yeah, and that's and it's and it's a little bit different one, so that'll be nice to do it.
Yeah, I mean the way it's working. The good thing about going from La Paz to Ensenada rather than from Ensenada to La Paz is normally we have like a 6-rider team when it's a peninsula run. So it's like the guy who starts may do like 200 miles, say, coming out of Ensenada normally, and then he'll just peel off and go home because he's not going to follow the race all the way to La Paz and then drive all the way back, right? And the second guy probably does the same thing. He does from mile, say, 200 to 450 or something, and then he goes home. And so this way, starting in La Paz, the guy who starts the race is going to do the first 200 miles. and then he's going to follow the race all the way back to Ensenada, right? Because we're all going home at that point. So we have a lot more chase coverage. Plus, you get to, hang out with your teammates and chase guys. And it's just, I think it's a lot better way to do it. I'm surprised this is the first time that Score's ever done it, but I'm glad they did.
Yeah. And that kind of feels like, you're racing home. So not a long road. Once everything is done, there's not people trying to catch flights out of La Paz to get back.
You don't have to get all your equipment home, trucks back, trailers, vans, everything. You're already pretty close to home, and hopefully it'll be a good party in Ensenada at the end.
Oh yeah. So what do you guys, I had the earliest numbers I've seen. I think it was Mark Samuels that said that they're talking like 18 and a half hours. I feel like that's a bit short.
No, I think from what I read, it was a little over 25 hours.
Oh, okay.
Because I think they're going to start at 1 a.m., right? And then they're going to finish at 2 a.m. the following day. So I think that's 25 hours. 25 hours. So, but even that, I think that's like a 52 or 53 mile per hour average, which is definitely doable. But so much of this race is at night. I think it might be a little bit slower than that, but you never know. I think our estimated time is 10 a.m. We're planning on, as long as we don't obviously have any issues as far as bike issues or crashes or any mistakes, and we have a solid race, I think 10 a.m. is going to be our target to finish in Ensenada.
Okay. On Saturday? Friday
morning. Yeah, because it starts
that's it.
Thursday at 1. So, yeah, Friday at 10 a.m. We should hopefully roll into Ensenada.
It sounds like just in time for brunch, which is good.
We're probably going to head straight to Husong's and celebrate, hopefully.
It's all about efficiency.
Exactly.
Do we know where it's finishing? Is it going to be like I haven't seen the detailed map yet. Is it in town, or is it going to be like at Estero Beach or something like that?
No, I'm almost 90% sure it's going to be right where they normally start the race, which is right there in front of the governor's building, right there on.
Oh, okay. And the main boulevard.
The main boulevard right there. Yeah. And I heard it's going to start. Normally it finishes kind of out of town in La Paz, but I guess this year, since it's starting in La Paz, they're going to start it right there on the Malacan, which is cool.
Nice. So that'll be this is going to be I think this is going to be a good adventure. It'd be nice to see, which is interesting too. I think the idea of it being backwards, right? All the fast stuff, usually from what I remember, it was all the gnarly stuff, right? Up top, tired, cars beat up. And now you've got to deal with a beat up car or, hopefully not too beat up, but the rest of the way down, which will be interesting this way, heading back. Everybody's going to be fresh, maybe longer stints because it's not as rough to clear some ground.
But then 3/4 of the way in, or maybe even 80% in, then you got to deal with San Felipe, which is probably the roughest part of the course. So that's going to be, especially for like the Ironman, they're already going to have 1,000 miles under their belt if they make it that far, and then they got to go through San Felipe. That's going to be brutal for them. Yeah. For anybody, but especially for them.
Yeah, exactly. Because they, you could have, I guess strategically, if that's the case, you could almost get, I'm going to call them a ringer, but not really a ringer, but get somebody literally right at the beginning of San Felipe. So, they're fresh and you're good to go. You just got to worry about the bike not being too hurt.
Right.
But if it's an Ironman, there is no such thing. So,
exactly.
That's going to be an interesting one. So, I mean, I don't know. Are you thinking, San Felipe is going to be the gnarliest section of the race, or is there something else?
I think it probably will be. Yeah, I think San Felipe will be. The good part, I think, about it is by the time it gets to San Felipe, the race could be kind of decided in a way, because it's such a long race. We've had times where, we have an hour lead on second place. And so all we got to do is just maintain. We've also had times where we're 20 minutes behind, with 100 miles to go, and you got to like realistically ride over your head to catch them. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on what position you're in. But I'm thinking by San Felipe, after 1,000 miles of already in the books, a lot of the races are going to kind of be decided, and it's just going to matter of just maintaining your lead or maintaining your position. But then again, I've had 1,200-mile races that were decided in, we were like 2 minutes apart at the finish. So you just never know with Baja how it's all gonna end up. It's like in such a long race, it's like everyone's probably going to have an issue. It's pretty impossible to go that far without having something go wrong, whether it's a crash or whether it's a lighting issue, or whether it's a bike issue or a fuel issue or whatever it may be. It's how you manage that issue is really the difference between winning and losing. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be impossible to not have, or I mean, it would be possible, but definitely not going to be competitive. It's just improbable. If you're racing and you're pushing it, there's a good chance that something is going to happen. Hopefully nothing does, or if it does, it's very minor. But yeah, I mean, that's just a lot of pounding for 30 plus hours, in the daylight, in the dark, in the dust, in the sun, it's just a lot, so many different conditions. People think, oh, well, I'd rather do a day section, but then in certain parts of the day, the sun is either in your eyes or it's got a lot of shadows, so you can't see the rocks. I mean, that's what happened to me last year. I hit a rock in a wash with the shadows at, 70 miles an hour, and that was it. It was over. Yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing that. That was, I think, the craziest thing I'd ever seen and never seen before was the forks still being collapsed after.
Yep, that was something that I had never experienced or seen myself either. It's just it bottomed out so hard that I guess the forks bent instantly and didn't allow them to come back up. So it was just like stink bug style. Yeah.
That's crazy. And I mean, that was a bit of recovery time for you too, no?
Yeah. I'm still not 100%. I'm, working at it every day, but yeah, I had 18 broken bones, dislocated hip, dislocated shoulder, compound fractures, and the whole deal. So I was in the hospital for 2 months pretty much. My left leg was the only thing that I could actually use.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I was kind of bedridden for a while, but a lot of physical therapy and a lot of help from family and friends and my girlfriend to help me get back. And I wasn't even sure or even thinking really about doing this race, but I figured if I can ride and I can ride competitively, then it'd be kind of cool to make a little bit of a comeback. So that's what we're doing.
Yeah. That's what you're after. And that's something interesting. Like it's interesting and it's absolutely huge, right? Come back from something like that with all the physical, damage done, checking all the boxes on possible injuries. And then now getting back into, okay, now we're going to go race the biggest race that exists, for the off-road world. At least in the point to point, I'll label it sprint type races because the Dakar is longer, but you get to stop every day,
right.
So there's that. But I mean, is there the ability to ride the bikes for a long distance and get in shape? Do you have like a routine? What's most important to you? Do you favor cardio? Do you favor strength exercises?
Well, normally I do a lot of motocross races, which are sprints, but they are definitely, I think, they really help you get in shape, right? Because you're sprinting and you're maybe holding your breath and you're just pushing it really hard. That's when you're really pushing your body and getting your body, in shape. But long rides are good as well, but normally when you're doing long rides, even if you do like an 8-hour fun ride from Tecate to San Felipe or whatever, you're not really pushing it, right? You're just riding and having fun and going, so you don't really get as tired. So I personally use motocross and some Grand Prix, SRA GPs and stuff like that to get myself in shape. I just go out there and do 3 20-minute motos and time my laps and try and beat my last lap and just keep pushing. And that's just how you can improve and get better. I think you can get on a motocross track is the best place to ride to improve your skills, whether you're racing in desert or anything. It's just It's just, you just shift so many times and stand and sit and jump and turn, so many times on a motocross track. You're just really fine tuning your skills. So that's what I do. I ride a lot of moto, yeah. And I've obviously been doing a lot of physical therapy. I lost a lot of strength, cause you're just laying in bed. So you get atrophy everywhere. Right. So I'm 6'3", and I got down to 140 pounds, which is just, skin and bones. So I had to, work out in the gym and physical therapy and just trying to build some of my strength back. And I think that's probably my weakest point right now is I don't have all my strength back. But it's getting better every day. So yeah.
Nice. Well, and that, I mean, with the sections, what section are you riding?
So I am riding from Loreto, which is race mile 350, to San Ignacio to 525. So it's a 175 mile stint. And then, unfortunately, there's not really anywhere around this, but there's like a 60 or 70 mile road section going into San Felipe. And nobody wanted to do that on the team. So I said, oh shit, I'll do it. Even though it's 1 a.m. So I think it's 1 a.m. I got to get on the bike and ride the pavement. So I'm going to ride the pavement for an hour or whatever there, speed zone. And then I get back on at the finish and I'll ride from Ojos to the finish. So that's the main thing I want to do is after what happened last year, I just want to finish what I started. So I want to roll into the finish hopefully and celebrate. Yeah.
See, you guys should have picked the lightest rider for the road section.
Why is it?
Lighter rider means less weight on the moose. Means it won't heat up as much.
Yeah, that's true. But it's a speed zone. So it's like you're just kind of like, you're just kind of cruising anyway. So it shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, no.
Plus we're going to do a tire change, I think, right after I get off the pavement there. So we should be good.
Yeah, nice. Well, that would have been right. That's how I would have tried to justify that. All right, which one of you is lightest?
Yeah. Well, I'm probably still one of the lightest on the team, so I'll work out.
Damn it. Nice. But I mean, it's crazy, but to think, all of that strategy, it's just little things, the rider changes where they occur, who's stronger as far as the riding ability for that section, what they feel most comfortable in. There's a lot of things, right, that go into this.
Shoot. The logistics are insane. And I think it's been said many times that the hardest part of this race is getting to the starting line because there's so much planning, so much prep. I mean, it's just everything from, Baja pits to your gear to your bike prep and setting the bike up and who's going to ride which sections and where are your pits and where are we going to do the tire change? When are we going to take off the big lights and put on the small lights? All these things have to be, set up and gone over and over and over and over again, just so that everybody does their job. One person makes a mistake and then could cost you 20 minutes. It could be the race, miss a VCP or forget to exchange the spica, the spica that you have to go from rider to rider to rider. We've done that before. I mean, it's just, there's so much to think about. Yeah. It's kind of a blur until you get on the bike. Once you're on the bike, then you kind of forget about all that and just try and, ride as best you can.
Yeah. Yeah. That to me is one of those things that not a lot of people like. Car logistics is one. You've got teams, you got trucks, you got all of this stuff, which is kind of the same for the bikes. But, when you could say in a vehicle, you're going to do like, we got 3 drivers for the entire peninsula. That's a different logistics than when you've got 6 riders for the entire peninsula. And a couple of them are going to be rotating shifts. They'll do 50 miles here, 70 miles there, that kind of thing. So that's an interesting.
And then you got your chase driver who's got to get you to your next section in time so you could, park and get your gear back on and be ready to go when the bike shows up. So yeah, it's a big relay race, that's for sure.
Yeah. Now that's something, I'm really big into the mentality of racing, especially on bikes and how that, all these little mental things, because I mean, obviously like I'm used to a lot of the rally stuff with the Dakar where they just go on long distances. Gear wise, is that something, you get off the bike, it's boots come off, basically back into street clothes, or do you kind of try and stay in some gear?
It just depends on the race. Normally, no. Normally, you stay in your gear because you have to get right back on. You know, in an hour or something, or however long it is till your next section. But in this race, since it's 30 plus hours of racing, yeah, I'm sure there'll be times when I will probably stay in most of my gear, but just take my boots off, put some shoes on, obviously take your helmet and chest protector and all that stuff off, but just stay in your, your pants and knee guards and jersey and all that. But yeah. It's the longer races, you want to be as comfortable as possible. Plus, it's hard to sleep, right? The race starts at 1 a.m. I'm not starting the race. I'm not getting on, I don't think, till 10 a.m. So it's kind of like, but I still want to know how we're doing. So I'll probably be up, on my phone or whatever, checking that. So it's like you're up for 30 plus hours, even though you're trying to take a little nap in here, which never works.
Yeah, no.
And then starting it at 1 a.m. is insane because realistically on Wednesday, it's only you can go to sleep at noon and actually sleep, right? It's daytime, you're awake. And so you're going to, I think that's going to be one of the hardest things for the Ironman is they have to start this race at 1 a.m. So let's just say they get to go to bed and they actually fall asleep by 8 p.m., which isn't going to happen, but let's just say it does. They're realistically going to get 3 hours sleep and then they got to get ready and go to the line.
Yeah.
And then they got to race for 30, 40 hours, 50 hours, whatever the Ironman is going to take to do. So that's, I think, not the best decision for Score to do that to them. But at the same time, like you said, it turned into a trophy truck race and they're catering to them because they are starting at 9, 10 a.m. and they're making the bikes start at 1 a.m. because they don't want the trophy trucks to catch a lot of the bikes, which they're going to do anyways in this race. So I don't even understand. It doesn't make much sense to start them at 1 a.m. I mean, I don't know.
You think about it, and at that point, it's like every hour counts. And that was something previously that we had talked about on the show, that bikes have continued to be bikes, right? I don't know, put a number on it, right? 65 horsepower, 18-inch rear tire, 12 inches of wheel travel. Meanwhile, trucks are now 39 or 40-inch tires. I don't even know what they're up to. 1,000 horsepower, don't even show up if it's not all-wheel drive. All of these things that are just pushed to raise the average speed. What does the bike have an advantage in? Maybe in the washes, it's a little bit easier to get in and out.
I don't know. I think it's probably the more technical sections, like when they go over the summit, all the little rocky stuff, really tight stuff. I think the bikes probably have an advantage over the trucks, but like pole line road or something, bikes probably at the most going to be, the top guys might be going 45 maybe through those deep whoops, rocky whoops, and the trophy trucks are just pinned at 100 plus. So, you really can't compete with those trucks anymore because they're so far advanced. But, and they're going to catch the bikes, and everybody gets kind of freaked out because, oh, shoot, a trophy truck is going to catch me. But it's not as bad as what everybody thinks. As long as you're aware, especially at night, you could see a trophy truck coming for forever.
Very long way.
They light up the whole valley or wherever you're at. So you have plenty of time to get off the course, get out of the way, and then re-enter the course, once the dust clears. So it's not as bad as what everybody thinks. I think the trucks are aware of the bikes. And I think, if you're going to be stupid and you're not going to get out of the way, I've seen trophy trucks get kind of aggressive with them, but at the same time, if you're aware, just get off the course as soon as you can and let them go.
Yeah. Get off the course. And then I feel like too, also those guys, it's like what I remember from the car days. And I remember racing a class 10 at that time. You don't want to waste time either. So why come up, like, if you see that you could take a whole nother line that you could get off and or bushwhack or whatever it is, why even waste time getting up behind that person, whatever it is, even if it is a bike, right. I guess the only thing you got to watch out on the bikes is they may see that line too, and they can change direction fairly fast, But,
right.
I feel like you're saying, I feel like the truck drivers or the vehicle drivers kind of have that balance of like, why am I going to, I know this is a bike guy. Why am I going to come up on him when I could literally just pick this other line? And I guess, and I agree with what you're saying. It's probably 100 times safer at night, just simply because of the amount of light that these things got to run.
Right.
So that's, yeah.
So what the thing is though, is there's a lot of sections that there are no other lines.
Mm-hmm.
You could be in just a 2-track section for 100 miles.
Yeah.
So, sometimes there is no alternative.
Mm-hmm.
And, they have the big horns and everything. If you don't know, if it is daytime and you don't know they're behind you, then, they'll honk. And next thing you know, you look back, there they are. You just get off the course as soon as you can and let them go. They're not going to run you over. They don't want to run you over. They don't want to ruin their race and they don't want to kill anybody. And it's just like a lot of people are like panicky about the trophy trucks catching them. But, normally they don't catch us.
Yeah.
But in a race this long, they're going to catch us. They're definitely going to catch us. I don't know when they're going to catch us, but I would say, if I had to guess, I would say maybe San Felipe. I'd say maybe with like 300 miles to go, they'll probably catch us. It's just a guesstimate, but yeah, normally if we have a clean race, like at a 500 or something, that we don't even see the trophy trucks. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And you think about it on the front end too, right? That would mean, if you were a little bit, that could be the difference of maybe starting it a couple hours later, still at night and it's kind of close to 9 a.m. start time for the trucks, but those 2 hours additional of sleep or whatever it may be, that can make a difference. And I could, I don't know.
I personally think that they should start the bikes in the morning at like 6 a.m. And then you get a night's sleep and you start, and then don't start the trucks until 8 p.m. or something. Have them have a night start or something. It doesn't affect the trucks as much as it affects the bikes, So, very rarely you got a guy that's going to Ironman the whole race in a truck or a side by side. I don't know if anybody's even doing it. So, I've sent in my suggestions and that kind of falls on deaf ears only because, people want to see the trophy trucks and that's great. I like watching them too, but they shouldn't sacrifice the other teams because of it. But that's where the money is. And another thing that I've always suggested is I think we could get a lot more bikes down here if it wasn't so expensive to enter, it's $4,750 just to enter this race for a bike. And I think it's like $5,500 for a trophy truck. And I'm thinking to myself, this guy's got a $800,000 race truck. It probably costs him $150,000 just in fuel and logistics and team, or probably more. I don't even know. I'm guessing to get down there and race the race. I'm thinking if they just raise the trophy truck class entry fee by $2,000 or $3,000, they wouldn't even notice. And then you could lower the bike classes by $2,000. So now it's maybe $2,500 to race the 1,000 for a bike and $7,500 for a trophy truck. It just makes more sense. And we would get a lot more bikes because of the cost. It's expensive. It's not, we have a lot of good sponsors that help us. Otherwise, this would probably, it wouldn't be affordable, even with a team of 6 guys, it's just like, there's so much to it. You got to have the bike, you got to have tires, you got to have boosters, you got to have navigation, you got to have gear, you got to have fuel, not to mention each individual rider having to pre-run their sections and have hotel rooms and fuel. And it's not cheap.
Yeah.
So I think if they could lower the bike costs, it would definitely help the entries. And with volume, you make just as much money. I don't, it's just they're just not. I just don't think that they're putting their attention there, which they should.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I hadn't. I was thinking like, okay, I'm in agreement with you that it's, you could tighten the gap between the trucks and the bikes a little bit. because the trucks don't want to have a bad day. And it's a bad day if you get involved with a bike, so they don't want to have a bad day. So they're going to watch out for that. But maybe for them, maybe the argument on their side is like, well, yeah, we get stuck behind bikes and then the guy behind me shows up and I lose my work. And, maybe that's their complaint, right? Is that they're being held up, quote unquote.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, yeah, I understand that for one, it makes the racing a little more exciting for everybody watching. It's like DRS and Formula One. Once the running order was done, before they did that, nobody would pass. Your qualifying was basically your finishing order. And so now, so this is kind of the same, maybe the same thing. Obviously we want drivers with cool heads that don't get frustrated and then try and pull stupid maneuvers. So I agree. I wonder how many more eyeballs they would get if there would be even a difference, positive or negative, by starting high noon. Oh, it's a high noon showdown, for the trophy truck class. But that gives the bikes daylight, because that's the other thing too. Nobody's watching after you guys for booby traps and things like that can occur, in some of these races. And helicopters, helos, I don't know, the people playing the home game, I don't know, but they may not be aware. Helos can't fly at night down in Mexico. Exactly.
Yeah. And the race starts at 1 a.m. The first 5-6 hours of the race are dark. So
yeah. And I will say though, from what I remember, there's a difference in spectators between Baja Norte and Baja Sur, or I should say Baja California and Baja California Sur. There is a difference in the spectators and how they treat racers and what you see. That was my experience from years back. I don't know if it's changed.
You know what? I personally, the further south I go, the better I like it. But I have to say, as far as the spectators are concerned, they are almost part of the race. They love to be involved, and they are there to help you in a second. I've had a front moose and a front tire come off the front wheel at like 60 miles an hour, maybe 30 miles into La Paz once. It almost shook me off the bike. I finally get it, and I nurse it to the nearest people that I could see. I never got off the bike. They literally got some tire irons or screwdrivers and put the bead back on the tire and zip tied. I had these big fat zip ties. We zip tied, the tire back onto the rim so I can make it to the finish. But it's like they love to be helpful. They're super helpful. Yeah. They love to be part of it. They feel like they're part of the race. It'd be like going to the Indianapolis 500 and being able to change Mario Andretti's tire. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like it's a very unique event to be able to get that close to the race and be actually a part of the pit crew.
Yeah. That's a good, it's a good story, because I think that we've seen it. We've seen the videos. You go onto YouTube and you can see people building booby traps, and you can see that. But there is a difference. Yeah, in the spectators. Not everybody is that person. Of course, like any good media outlet, people want to show the worst of it, but there's, I'm sure.
Yeah, they want to get ratings for sure.
Yeah.
But from my experience, and I've been doing this pretty much every year since 2012, 11, 12, somewhere in there. I would say 90% of what people call a booby trap is not a booby trap. It's spectators trying to build a jump so they can see some action, and they just don't know how to do it. So it turns into like, a 2-foot curb pretty much, or a little mound that they think they're making a jump. But when you're going, say 45, 50 miles an hour down this road, and all of a sudden you hit a 2-foot, what they think is a jump, it just throws you over the bars. Right. So people are calling these booby traps. But I have only one time have I ever actually ran into a real booby trap, and it was like some wire strung across between two telephone poles.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and luckily I saw it at the very last minute and just laid it down. But and and I've heard they've buried telephone poles and different things like that. But I think even then they're trying to build a jump, and they just don't know how to do it, and they don't have the equipment to do it. They're using a shovel and whatever else they have. They want to see somebody jump. So, I don't think most of it isn't really with bad intentions. They just want to see some action. And the rule in Baja on a bike is if you see a crowd, especially in the middle of nowhere, slow down, because there's something going on there, right? They're either tried to build a jump, or there's a dangerous section, and that's why they're there to see it. Same thing with water crossing. So you'll go to a water crossing, there'll be a bunch of people because they want, it's kind of an action place or whatever. And they'll all point like, go over there, go over there. Well, they're always pointing to the deepest spot because they want to see either a big splash, or they want to see you crash or lay it over or whatever. And then they'll help you and pick you up and, and keep you going. But they want to be part of the action. They want to see the action. So I learned early on that whenever I go to like a water crossing, a river crossing, or whatever, and they're pointing, I head straight for them. Yeah. And then they dive out of the way because they're on pretty, shallow water or dry land. So I'll just head straight for them. They'll get out of the way, and then it's the safest way to do it. But it's a lot of people, when they first start, they're like thinking, oh, they're helping me. Okay, I'm going to go where they're pointing. And the next thing you know, you got water over your handlebars, So it's interesting. You learn a lot, and you don't even realize how much you learn until you start talking about it. But you learn a lot just racing so many times in Baja. Yeah.
All the little stories. I've been, with you saying that, it's true. I've been pointed, in San Felipe at one of the local races. I've been pointed down another line, and then only like when I go past it, I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe it was smoother than where I was at. And I look over and it's this makeshift double jump. And I go, there's no way I'm going to hit this in a 1600 car. That's not possible. So you think about it like, yeah. And I come from that is like, okay, well, they're trying to, they don't know how to build it, but they're trying to see some action. And I remember my dad always saying the same thing. You go, you got hundreds of miles of desert, thousands of miles of desert. Why are they there?
Exactly. Now, if you're close to town, I get it. Cause people kind of like, they'll just try and get in whatever, a mile or whatever, half a mile to see the cars go by or bikes go by or quads go by or whatever. But when you're literally, you can't see any houses or lights around, and there's like a group of people there camping or whatever, there's a good chance that they built something up so that they can, see some action. So it's always a good idea to slow down for sure.
Yeah. Chill out a little bit.
Yep. Nice. I mean, what are you going to lose? A couple of seconds and make that up in, the next couple miles. So.
Yeah, exactly. You check up, or, it's going to be a 2 or 3 minute ordeal while you dust yourself off and take inventory.
Right. And if you can get up, the last time I crashed, I couldn't get up. I was laid out it took me.
What's going on, guys? Victor with the Chasing Waypoints podcast. All right. Are you looking to promote your brand to a worldwide audience on the podcast? Drop us a line at podcast@chasingwaypoints.com and let's talk. See what we can do about getting you some more ears for your company and getting the word out worldwide.
I think 6 hours before I made it to the hospital.
To get out of the desert. Wow.
Yeah, to get out of the desert. And that was like with no pain meds or anything. It was an experience for sure, because it was just before dark and the helicopter couldn't fly. So he could only fly me 5 minutes away to San Felipe. And then from then on, it was ambulances all the way to San Diego. So,
and that is a long ride from San Felipe.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, it obviously, you're here. We worked out. It's an experience, that's, and I think I said, you were just down there pre-running. Was it you that spotted another rock in the?
Actually, that was, my teammate, Robbie Naughton. Okay. It was his section. So I just kind of went down there and pre-ran with him, but I wasn't pre-running that last little section with him. And he actually hit that rock in the shades and went over the bars pretty good. Yeah. He didn't get hurt, but he did get some cactus in him. And, he probably flew 40, 50 feet, and it was a wake up call for him for sure. Yeah. And, it looked a lot like the one I hit, but mine was just taller and probably a bit bigger. And I was going race speed rather than pre-run speed. So it was just that's the difference pretty much, is the speed in Baja. It's just you're going so fast.
Yeah, Mach, and I mean, but that's what you got to do too. Part of it is, it's easier to ride a bike at speed than it is. There's a balancing point in there. Obviously for the terrain or whatever, like you don't want to go hitting everything. You kind of want to skip over the top of some things. So
yeah,
you kind of need this.
I always prefer the more technical parts of Baja, like the summit. I love doing the summit. I like doing the over mics, the more rocky, rough technical sections because number one, I think I excel in it, and number two, I don't think it's as dangerous. You probably have a bigger chance of crashing, but you're only averaging maybe 35, 40 miles an hour through there.
Yeah.
Whereas the washes, they look super easy, and they are easy, and you're going 70, 80 miles an hour, and it's not rough, but there's buried rocks. And when you hit one, I've hit a lot of them. This was the only one this last year that I actually crashed on. Most of them you hit and you just like ride a nose, boom, and you ride like a nose wheelie for however long and save it and go, oh shit, your life flashes before your eyes. But I prefer the slower, more technical sections, downhills, uphills, rocks, summits, that kind of stuff, because it's just, I think you can make up more time in those sections. Anybody can go fast on a wash. And it's a lot harder to go fast down rocky downhills and rutted out sections and things like that. So I always prefer the more technical spots, but there are other guys on our team that grew up racing desert and they love the fast sections. So it works out perfect.
Yeah. That balance, within the team. And that's, kind of mentioned that earlier. It's finding what's your strong suit, because that's at the end of the day, you're trying to string together the fastest time possible. So if somebody's more confident in this type stuff versus that type stuff, that's going to make for a better elapsed time.
Right. And some people prefer to ride during the daytime. They don't like to ride at night. And other guys don't mind riding at night. So that all goes into play too, because Jim O'Neill's on our team. He's a legend in Baja. He's ridden so many races. I mean, he's in his 70s, but we still go to the motocross tracks together, and he still rides. He's still a great rider. And he's doing a section, and the only thing that he asked for was, I do not want to ride at night, because he's 76 years old. Obviously he probably can't see like a 40-year-old or even a 50-year-old, and so he likes to ride during the day. He had a bad crash one time at night, and actually he said he hit a booby trap, and he got hauled out of there, and so he preferred to ride during the day, which is fine. He's going to get on it, I think 7:30 in the morning daytime, but everybody has their preferences, right? Some people want to ride early in the race, some people want to ride late in the race, some people want to ride the technical stuff, some people want to ride the fast stuff, some people want to ride, it makes it interesting, because I try and mix it up, and I try and like to ride a section that I've never ridden, but at this point I've been doing it for 10 years, and so I don't think there is a section I haven't ridden. But so I always tend to just pick the spots where I think I'll excel.
Yeah. I think that's that's how I feel like it should be done. Pick the spot you excel at, and that's where you're going to put together for the team. I'm going to put together the best possible elapsed time from here to here for you guys. And that's the kind of expectation from the other guys. This is my terrain. This is my type of racing that I like to do. So this is going to be, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting 1,300 miles. And especially I'm really looking to see what the effect of the first, 3/4 of the race being flat out, and not rough, not super bad. Yeah,
right. There are some rough sections. There's a section probably at race mile, I want to say 180 maybe, that is like sand whoops for as far as you can see.
Zoo Road 2.0.
It's narrow, and Zoo Road is more rocky whoops. This is just sand, deep sand whoops, and it's just narrow enough for probably a trophy truck, but it's in bushes on both sides, so you can't get out of it and take alternate lines or anything. And you literally for as far as you can see is whoops. And then you make this turn, like a 180, 90-degree turn. You're thinking, thank God it's over. And it's whoops for as far as you can see again. So it's probably I would say a 15, 20 mile section of just deep sand whoops. And that's before the 200-mile mark. So there's that. There's the whole going into Laredo area that is like super like rocky, and there's probably 15 river crossings. And so there's it's not just the northern part that's going to take its toll. There's a lot of sections that are pretty gnarly down south. But then again, there's a lot of sections that aren't. They're easier, fire roads and a lot of easier 2-track and different things like that. So it's definitely going to be interesting. But I think that if anything, like you said, the last 400 miles is probably going to be where you're going to see most of your DNFs, because they've already got all those miles in, and then it gets even rougher, and that's when cars are braking and people are crashing. And for the Ironman, there's 27 Ironmen in the signed up, and I honestly, I gotta say, I'd be surprised if 5 of them finish on time, because it's just too many hours and too gnarly, and just mentally almost more than physically is this going to be a test. So that's going to be a very interesting class to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I saw the post from Andy Kirker in the Facebook group, and interesting enough, setting, you set the pace, but if you stop and take a 10-minute break, you just knocked so much off of your average time or your average speed, which puts you on the bubble of not making the finish line.
Exactly.
Within time. Now, physically crossing the finish line is one thing, but physically crossing the finish line within the allotted time is the other.
Right. And I think is it 50 hours?
Yeah.
The allotted time? I think it's 50 hours. So that's a 25 mile an hour average, I think is what he said, which is definitely doable. But I think it's more of a mental challenge than anything else. It's just, you get to a point where you're riding through the whole night, sunrise through that whole day, sunset through that whole night. Your mind's just got to be going, what am I doing? Not to mention the physical pain and everything else you're going through. So it's definitely, I've thrown it around I want to do that someday, but I haven't pulled the trigger on that one yet. That's going to be a adventure for sure.
And especially on something like this, I'm looking for that post. But so we kind of in wrapping this up, what is, if you could plan, you're going to run the whole peninsula. And actually, I'll open it up to any race. If tomorrow, if you had the chance, money, no object, no, bike, fresh bike, factory bike, however you want it, what's the race or what's the section you would want to do?
I would say are you talking about Ironman?
Anywhere, class, whatever, the dream,
Well, after this point, I've kind of been doing what I wanted to do. We've had good sponsors and everything else behind us, so we were able to do it. But, I've thought about pretty seriously about maybe getting into a side-by-side or doing this or doing that. But you know what? I just can't. I'm a bike guy. And when you're a bike guy, you're just always a bike guy. And I don't see myself really doing that unless someone invited me to do it. And I said, I don't have anything else going on. But to actually put the effort to do it, I don't think that'll ever happen. So as far as an Ironman, I would only Ironman, I think, the 1,000 Peninsula run. Because if you're going to do it, you might as well do it, right? I wouldn't just say, I'm going to Ironman the 500. If I'm going to do the 1,000, I'm not going to do the loop. I'm going to do the whole peninsula run because that's just me. But I'm getting to the point, especially after my accident last year, that, my Baja races are pretty numbered. And my goal for next season actually is to bring the sponsors that we already have with our team, because we have a lot of good sponsors behind us. and some new sponsors, and thinking about getting some fresh young guys and going after the 1X plate next season. So
there you go.
we have the infrastructure. We know Baja. We have good sponsors. We've got Chase. We've got, everything we need except for maybe some more deeper pockets as far as the sponsors are concerned, which I think we can get if we get some talent, young guys. And it'd be cool to go after, the 1X plate. I think that would be the next thing, is kind of give back a little bit and help out some younger riders.
Yeah. And I think that aligns with the, what you mentioned earlier about, one of the ways to help grow the sport, get younger talent involved, younger people involved that, that have the riding ability, but maybe not the logistics, the facilitation of logistics and sponsors and things like that. That's a good, I think that's a really good goal. That would be awesome to see that, give those boys to some, give the guys up top now more run, more competition.
Yeah. I think it's getting better and better, especially with that purse, that Andy got together, which was really cool. I think it's going to bring a little bit more speed to the series, and competition, grows competition. So hopefully I can, or the team, our Hero Racing team, can get some good guys, and we can get the backing, the sponsors, and put together a team next season, and hopefully be in San Felipe to start for the championship. That would be exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be an awesome goal, especially, challenging for the 1X plate. I think that the more competition that plate has, the better.
Right.
So I think it'll definitely be. You mentioned sponsors. Let's wrap up and tell me a little bit about the guys that are backing you guys for the 1,000.
Yeah. Well, most of our sponsors have actually been with us since the beginning, which is really cool. So, Vase Power Sports, they're a motorcycle shop in El Cajon. They definitely help us out with parts and some money to help us get to the races. Baja Pits, Carlos over there, he always helps us out for usually like every other race. He'll give us free pits, which really helps. Dunlop Tires, Brock Glover over there at Dunlop has always helped us. So they give us tires. Nitro Moose, they help us. Baja Bound Insurance, they're really big in the Score series, and they always help us out. Suspension 101, they've done our suspension probably for the last 7 or 8 years. They really help us test and get that stuff dialed in. O'Neill Gear, with Jim O'Neill on our team, he decks us out head to toe in our gear. We got a lot of good sponsors that, and we got some new ones this year, which is pretty cool. Red Line Oil, actually, they've been with us for the last 2 years. They are one of our main sponsors. And then White Cloud Aviation, they're out of Lake Havasu. They basically teach people how to fly airplanes, get you to solo and all that. So they're on. And then Lifestyle Garage, Tony, in Lakeside, California, he does a lot of Jeep stuff or trucks. You want to lift your truck, wheels, tires, whatever like that. So yeah, we got a lot of sponsors and a lot of backing. And what the nice part about it is it's not like one and done. We do a really good job at promoting them as well. We have t-shirts and posters, and we display the bike after the race at Vase and leave it dirty like it just finished the race, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, it adds to that. I always enjoyed seeing that. I remember going to one of the Baja Bound holiday parties, and they had I think it was it Samuel's bike there? They had one of the bikes there, all dirty, and just as it finished, and you see that, and it's like, dude, that's rad. You get to see all the little things that maybe broke or the fixes, the hot fixes. This will get us there.
Headlights pointing all to the left, broken, and
missing hand guards.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see them at the finish line. A lot of people don't get to see that, right? Because they're usually not at the finish or whatever. They might see them go by, mid race or something, but they don't actually get to just stop and look at the bike after it's done battle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. What the attrition is on the bike, and how much of it has to be torn down to get it back. But you see them at the start line and they look like brand new bikes, that's,
yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
So are you going to the race?
I don't know. I got to try and cut out. I'm off on Fridays and Saturdays from the normal 9 to 5. So that's going to be tricky. I don't know if I might be able to shoot down to Ensenada and see you guys come in. I think that's probably the more feasible plan.
Right. Well,
it'd be nice.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah.
To finish. Yeah.
Yeah. Get to see everybody, the people coming across. And, it'd be nice to take the time off and get all the way down to La Paz and then kind of follow the race up. But logistically with time, it's a little bit difficult
right
on that one. But I'll for sure be watching tracking.
Right.
I want to see how you guys are doing.
Appreciate that.
It'll be awesome. Well, excellent. Well, any final thoughts? Any other shout outs? Anything you want to?
I don't know. I just honestly kind of feel blessed to even be able to do this again after last year. So yeah, just want to thank God for letting me enjoy what I like to do.
Yeah. The opportunity and then when you can line up for the, this iconic one. I mean, yeah, like we said, it's interesting that they're running it backwards and it's 1,300 miles and it sounds like you guys got a good team together. The bike is badass. I'm looking at the pictures going, I could see that in a garage.
Yeah. Well, it's going to look even better going through contingency because it still doesn't have, our graphics and all the cool stuff. Thrill Seekers, they're a San Diego company. They always sponsor us with a really cool seat cover and, nice. So yeah, it's kind of like it seems like, which is really cool. It seems like a lot of our sponsors are just friends. So it's kind of like not just somebody you don't know, it's somebody that you grew up with or live next to or whatever. So that always makes it more fun, especially at the finish line when, some of your sponsors are even there helping you celebrate.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I get that it eliminates that corporate feel to it and and it's not just all business. I think that's awesome. Awesome. Well, excellent, sir. Well, I will let you get back to your Saturday.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And yeah, I'll send you the links and for when this is live. I think it may actually go up tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'll send those over to you.
All right. Thank you,
Johnny. Thank you.
One more thing.
Oh, yeah.
One more thing before I go.
Yeah.
I just want to mention my teammates. This is obviously a team effort, right? So I just want to mention my teammates. John Griffin, he's been with us for a long time with the team. He builds the bikes. So he spends countless hours, in his garage, just meticulously going through our bike, making sure that, best of his ability we don't have any bike issues, so a shout out to John for sure. Jim O'Neill, I already mentioned him, but he's definitely a legend in this sport. Troy Pierce, he has been racing with us for probably, I don't know, maybe the last 6 or 7 years. He was a #1 plate holder in District 38 for a while out there in Placer City. Couple of my motocross buddies one of them I've grown up with, Mike Carter, he's racing with us. He's done a few races with us, but Alan Julian, he's from South Africa, but he lives in California now for the past probably 20 years. But those are my motocross buddies. We do Glen Helen, Saturday motocross all the time. So they're on the team.
Nice.
And then Robbie Naughton, he used to race Supercross back in the day, and he was a Pro 2, I think, short course champion, competing against like Brian Deegan and McGrath and those guys, and he won the championship. So he's got a lot of experience, and he's on the team this year. So nice. I'm hoping he can make up some of the ground that I may lose being at 75%. But he's a really good rider. So we got a solid team, and we're hoping that, our main goal is to finish, but you know how racers are. We want to win.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
Yeah, Absolutely. Yeah. I was talking to a friend the other day about this, and we were trying to do kind of like a fun ride. And I told him, you understand, you can't put 3 guys on bikes and not expect one of them to not want to be the first one back.
Exactly. Yeah. What's that? I think I saw a meme that said the first race started when the second motorcycle was built.
Yeah, that's a good one. Right. Very true.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to keeping you guys on tracking and see how you guys are doing.
All right.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So that was Giovanni Spinali talking about the Baja 1000 coming up. So very interesting. A lot of things to go into consideration. Some of the stuff, until you talk to the racers and what they're actually going to be doing, it really starts to develop, a picture of what it takes to be able to race these events. And so while we were talking, I was able to find it in the Pro Moto Baja Racing group. This was a post by Andy Kirker, and I'm going to read it verbatim here so you guys know. It's the Ironman class, something to consider if you are trying to make it to the Baja 1000 finish in Ensenada before the cutoff time. So the organization gives the racers a certain amount of time to complete the entire course. Continues. Before the cutoff time, then you will need to maintain a average speed of around 20, or you would need to maintain a speed of around 27 miles per hour minimum. You will need to plan your rest breaks strategically. For instance, if you are riding at a consistent 30 mile an hour average for 50 miles, and then take a 10-minute break at a pit stop, your average for that 50 miles just dropped to 27.32. So you just lost 3 miles an hour roughly at on that 10-minute break. So for reference, 2001 Baja 1000, second place Ironman, averaged 30 miles an hour for the race. So that is going to be an interesting one. It's all about being accountable for your time. And that was something that Giovanni was mentioning is, these guys having to do this peninsula, then that long one, as we talked about, not only that, but, the terrain that they're going to have to face, and then the break that they're going to catch by it being slow first, but then having San Felipe to finish it up and help welcome them back to the northern part of the peninsula. So that's going to be a very interesting thing, especially if the teams have already pre-ran it, and if by then they're already being caught by the vehicles, how the vehicles will tear that up. And not only that, but now you're talking about in the next few weeks or the next few days, more pre-running traffic going through that San Felipe section, because it's the easy reach for the people that are going to be running the northern section. You may get to see more laps, more traffic through there than before. So it is absolutely going to be a challenging race for all of the participants on the bikes. Not to say that it won't be for the vehicles, but the bikes in particular, obviously they are not, protected as much as a four-wheel drive vehicle is, or a four-wheel vehicle, exposed to more of the elements. And obviously that 21-inch front tire can only do so much. So we're looking forward to it. We're going to be keeping track of that. Remember, that is Green Flag on Thursday, November 16th. So that is coming up in just a couple of weeks. They'll be off in the morning, first thing 1 a.m. with a midnight at, midnight Wednesday, Thursday for their staging time. So we're looking forward to seeing it. I think it's going to be a great race. Again, 1,300 miles to make it all the way back up the peninsula. These guys are racing home for one of the first times ever. So anyway, with that being said, guys, we're moving on to our next episode, next recording for today. You guys will be listening to this on Sunday at 10 a.m. And remember, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride. All right, that is a wrap for the Chasing Waypoints podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Looking forward to our next one coming up. Remember, if you are out riding, do not forget to tag us at Chasing Waypoints. Hashtag Chasing Waypoints. And if you haven't already, get on over to the website. Get signed up for the newsletter, The Bivouac. North America's Rally Raid and Adventure Riding newsletter. Hey, let's have some fun. Let's find out what you guys up to. Let's get you featured. If you're a brand and looking to get supported, get some eyeballs, get some ears on your business, absolutely hit us up. Send us a message at podcast at Chasing Waypoints. But anyway, that is a wrap. Remember, Shiny side up. See you guys.